Hey guys, okay, this is June 2021, paper 2. Starts with question 1. Write 600 as a product of powers of its prime factors. Now it says show you're working clearly. Now guys, I'll start with the calculator. So you can actually do this on the calculator. You won't get any marks if you don't show any working, but we can use it to make sure we're right. So 600, I press equals, then shift and this button here for fact for factors. So this is the answer. It's 2 cubed times 3 times 5 squared. 2 cubed times 3 times 5 squared. This is the answer. But to get the marks, I have to do this, which is the prime factor tree that you may or may not remember. So split 600 into 2 factors. I'll go with 2 and 300 because we all know 2 times 300 is 600. Well, hopefully we know that. Then I stop there because 2 is a prime number. I can circle it and I keep going with this one. So I'll do 30 times 10. 30 times 10 gives me 300. Then I keep going. This can become 10 times 3. I stop here because 3 is a prime number, and I do 5 times 2 and I stop here. Then similarly here, I do 5 times 2. Now I have, and this is what I mean by circle. Circle this prime number, this prime number, this prime number, this, and this. So if I multiply all those numbers together, I'll get 600. It's 5 times 5 times 2 times 3 times 5. Sorry, that's not right. I'm starting here. It's 2 times 5 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 2. Basically all these circled numbers. And then this, when you group them together, there's 2, 2, 2, 3 2s, so that's 2 cubed, 1 3, 3, and 2 5, so it's 5 squared. And that is why I get this, and I know I'm correct. Okay, but as I say guys, if you just write that, you'll get no marks. So make sure you draw your tree. Next question, dividing fractions. So first, write these as I'm going to write these as improper fractions. So 7 times 2 is 14, plus 4 is 18 over 7, divided by 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9 over 8. And then to divide fractions, I flip this one and multiply 8 over 9. So I'm going to do this times this, flip this one upside down and multiply instead of divide. Okay, 18 times 8. Now at this point you could actually say divide this by 2 and divide this by 2. So sorry, by 9. I'm going to divide the top by 9 and the bottom by 9. Or you could actually do multiply 18 times 8. Let's just do that guys, because it's easier. 18 times 8 is equal to 144. So it's 144 over 63. And then you can actually use your calculator here guys. You can do 144 divided by 63. It'll simplify it for you. It's 16 over 7. 16 over 7. And this is equal to 2 and 2/7, which is what we want, because 7 into 16 goes twice, remainder 2, hence 2 remainder 2 or 2/7. Okay, question 3. The bearing of Paris from London is 149. Work out the bearing of London from Paris. So if you know guys, there's a trick here that if the bearings are always 180 degrees difference. So the answer is actually 149 plus 180. I'll show you why in a second. This gives me 329 degrees. Yes. So the reason this is the case, Paris from London, so let's say this is London and Paris is somewhere down here. So this is London, this is Paris. These arrows are facing north. So he's saying this angle here is 149 because that's what the bearing is. It's this face north, turn clockwise angle. So that's 149 degrees. London from Paris would actually be all of this. That's London's angle, because we start north and we turn right and we keep going until we get to London, which is there. So that full green angle is the angle we're looking for. It's the bearing of London from Paris. And if you actually do, here's a little trick, guys. If you just continue this line on like this, you'll see this angle is 149 degrees, because these are complementary angles. And then this is obviously 180 here. So it's just 180 plus 149, which is why I got that. But you don't have to draw this, guys. You can go straight to this plus 180. 329. 329 degrees. Okay, question 4. We have sets. So the universal set is all the letters in the alphabet. B is Brazil, I is Ireland. List the members of the set B union I. Okay, so that's it. If it's in Brazil or in Ireland, we're going to write it down. So we'll just start with Brazil. So B, then R, then A, then Z, then I. You do need commas between these, then L, so all of them, and then all of the ones in Ireland. Now, the only thing you have to be careful of is you don't write I again. I've already got I here. I don't write or again. I don't, E, yes. L, no. A, already have it. N, yes. And D, I need it. So it's like Brazil end. Okay. Then I have Brazil intersection, not Ireland, right? So this means, guys, what is in Brazil and not in Ireland? Which letters are in this and they're not in this? Okay, well, B is in this and not in this. Not or, not A. Z, yes. Z is not in Ireland. And I know and L know, so it's just B and Z. Finally, Cody writes that, so K is Kenya, B intersection K is this is the empty set, the null set. It means there's nothing in it. Explain why he is wrong. So he's saying there's nothing in B intersection K, but B intersection K, let's actually write down what B intersection K is. It's what's in K and in Brazil. So no K, no E, no N, no Y, but there is an A. So there's an A in that set. I need these. There's one letter. So so B intersection K is A. So there is an element. There is an element in B intersection K, and because I've written it's A, that's fine. But if you wanted to write there is a B, and you could do comma A or whatever, but you just need to say that A, or you could say A is in both K and B. That will give you the full marks. Okay. Question 5. Here we have parallel lines, this diagram. Work out the size of J, G, H. So it's this angle that we're trying to find out. That one there. Okay. So with these questions, guys, I like to just write in as many angles as we know, right? If this is 44, then this guy has to be 180. So 180 minus 44 is 136. And then 136 divided by 2 is equal to 68. Am I right? Yes, 68. So that means this angle is 68 and this angle is 68. Now I divided by 2 because it's an isosceles triangle, so these angles must be equal and the 3 must add up to 180. So I took away the 44 and divided by 2 to get this angle. Okay, if this angle is 68, then this angle has to be 112 degrees because these two add up to 180. 1112 plus 68 equals 180 because they're angles in a straight line. And then finally, this has to equal 1112 because these two are complementary angles, so they're the same, these two. So the answer is 112. Now guys, it says give a reason for each stage of your working. I'm actually not going to write it down just because it takes me a while, but you have to say that this is 68 because it's an isosceles triangle. You then have to say this is 112 because angles on a straight line equals 180, and you have to say this equals this because the angles are complementary. That is how you get the 5 marks. There's a lot of marks there. At least 2 of those marks are for explaining what you did, right? So if I just left that like that, I'd probably only get 3 marks. Okay, question 6. Marina sells bags of bird food. The bags that she sold last week contained 12 kilograms of seeds. The bags she's going to sell next week will contain a mixture of nuts and seeds, or for each bag. Okay, the total weight of the nuts and seeds in each bag will be 1935. Okay, so first, guys, I'm going to just split this because it's we're going to have to look at the percentage decrease or something. So first, I'm going to split 1935 in the ratio 4:5. Now the way to do that is I first do 4 plus 5 equals 9, and then I do 1935 divided by 9 equals 1935 divided by 9 is 215. 215, and then I do 215 times 4. I can do that one in my head. It's 860, and I do 215 times 5, which is 75. I'm gonna have to use my calculator, guys, because I'm gonna make a mistake. 215 times 5 is 1290. Sorry, I had 6. 215 times 5 is 1075. Okay, 1075. So the nuts to seeds, which is 4:5, is now in this ratio 860 to 1075. Okay, the weight of seeds in each bag that she sells will be less than the weight of seeds in each bag that she sold last week. Correct. It's 1075, whereas last week it was 12. Work out this as a percentage. Work out this decrease as a percentage of the weight of seeds in each bag that she had last week. Give your answer to 1 decimal place. Okay, so the decrease is 12 minus 1075. She sold 12 last week, 1075 this week, so the decrease is 125. And then to work out that as a percentage, I have to do 125 out of the original, which is 12, and I then need to multiply it by 100, and this I will do on my calculator. 125 divided by 12 multiplied by 100 is 10.416666, or 10.4. So 10.41416 with a dot, but to 1 decimal place it's 10.4. So here 10.4. Okay, question 7. SOHCAHTOA, work out the value of x. So I have the opposite and the hypotenuse, so it's going to be sine. So SOHCAHTOA. I like to do this. I have the opposite, I have the hypotenuse, which has the 2 ticks, the so. So it's sine 42 degrees is equal to opposite 6.5 over hypotenuse x, like so. And then these are the more difficult SOHCAHTOA questions, guys, because the x is at the bottom. So to remove x from the bottom, I multiply across. X sine 42 is equal to 6.5, and then to get, so I multiply across by x, and then to get x on its own, I divide. I do 6.5 divided by sine 42, and that is, from my calculator, 6.5 divided by sine 42 is 9.714. Again, one decimal place, 9.714. One decimal place, 9.7. Question 8. Solve the simultaneous equation. Okay, these are what I would call, guys, familiar standard questions. Not necessarily easy, but familiar, so you should know how to do these because you should have practiced many of them. Okay, we need to make the C's the same. We could make the A's the same, but if we just multiply this by 2, we make the C's the same, so it's the easiest thing to do. So I multiply everything by 2. 10a, this times 2, plus 4c, this times 2, and then don't forget the 10 times 2 is 20. 2a minus 4c equals 7. Then I add them, because by adding it we'll remove this 4c plus negative 4c, means this will be eliminated, and I'm left with 12a, because 10 plus 2 is 12a. The c's disappear. Add these two is 27. So a is equal to 27 over 12. And 27 over 12, let's just use our 27 over 12 is 2.25. So a is 2.25. Then to find c, we sub it back into an equation. I'll sub it back into let's just do the first one. Sub into equation 1. You could sub it into this one, or even either of these two, this one, but let's just pick the first one. So 5 times a, this is a, so I'm going to put in 2.25, plus 2c equals 10. That's this equation, but instead of a, I put 2.25. 5 times 2.25 is 11.25. 11.25 plus 2c equals 10. Subtract the 11.25. 2c equals 10 minus 11.25, which is minus 1.25. And then finally, c is minus 1.25 divided by 2, or minus 1.25 divided by 2. Oh, hang on. I did something silly. I didn't answer right. Delete that. And try it again. Minus 1.25 divided by 2 is minus 5/8, or minus 0.625. And that's my answer. 2.25 minus 0.625. Okay, that's question 8. Question 9. Factorize. Okay, this is the easier type of factorizing. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. These are always annoying, but because it's 1x squared there, it makes it easier. All we need to do is put x and x there, and we just find factors of negative 24 that gives you plus 2. And the answer is 6 and negative 4. Because when I multiply it out, 6 times negative 4 gives me my negative 24, and my 6x minus 4x gives me my 2x. So I need numbers that multiply together to give me negative 24, and add together to give me 2, which is the case. So here, I just put x plus 6 times x minus 4. Then it says, hence solve this. So once you factorize the quadratic, guys, you've done the hard work. The solving it is actually easy. It's just the opposite sign of these. So it's x equals -6 or x equals 4. Both of them, it has two solutions. And that's because this is 0 or this is 0. And if this is 0, then you subtract 6, x is -6. If this is 0, then you add 4, x is 4. Okay, that's question 9. Question 10. We have a triangular prism. Work out the volume of the prism. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, to get the volume of a prism, guys, volume is equal to area times length, where area is the area of the, it's not always a triangle, but it's the area of this, of the shape, the cross section, whatever the shape happens to be for the prism. So it's the area of the triangle times length, and the length is just 15. So basically all I need to do is find the area of the triangle. This is tricky though, because to find the area of the triangle, I need the height. I need to do a half base times height, and I don't have the height. I only have this 11.2 here. How do I get the height? Well, this is why I said it's tricky. We need to use Pythagoras' theorem because it's a right angle triangle. I don't have one of the sides. It's Pythagoras. So I can say h squared plus 7.4 squared equals 11.2 squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Then I say, without multiplying this out yet, guys, I can just do h squared equals 11.2 squared minus 7.4 squared. And again, I don't even need to do that. I'll just leave it like that. I can do the square root of 11.2 squared minus 7.4 squared. And this should give me, well, it'll give me the height. This is 11.2 squared minus 7.4 squared. And I get 8.407. 8.407. Put enough figures, guys. I'm going to put another one. Definitely put more than 3, because my answer needs to be 3 significant figures. Okay, now I need to get the area of the triangle. The area of the triangle, I'm just going to put red triangle like that so it's clear. The area of the triangle is a half times base times height, which is a half. That's a formula, guys, you definitely need to know. The base is 7.4 and the height we now know is 8.4071. This area is therefore a half, 0.5, times 7.4 times 8.4071, which is 31.106. 31.106. I have the area. I now can get the volume easily. I just do volume equals area, well, area times length, which is 31.106 times 15, which is 31.106 times 15, 466.59, 466.59 to 3 significant figures, which means this has to become 467, and I stop there because that's the third significant figure and I round it up, so it's just 467. 467. Okay, question 11. Cheng Bo sold a house for 180,000 won. The amount which he sold the house, for which he sold the house, is 24% more than the amount he paid for the house. Work out how much he paid for the house and give your answer. Okay, so this is one of those kind of tricky reverse percentages, guys. He sold it for that, and we want to find out how much he paid for the house. So we say he paid X1 for the house, and then the price increased by 24%. Nice. So we multiply our X that we don't know by 1.24. This will increase it by 24%, and that will give us 180,000. Then we just say, okay, how do I get x on its own? Well, I divide both sides by 1.24. So it's 180,000 divided by 1.24. I'll do that with my calculator. 180,000 divided by 1.24. 145,161. 145,161. I'll just put approximately, which is to three significant figures, 145,000. So that's 145,001. Okay. Part B. Z bought a house on the 1st of January. When she bought the house, its value was 120,001. The value of the house increased by this per year. Work out the value of the house on the 1st of January 2020. Okay, so this is kind of a standard compound interest question. So she started with 120,000 and that increased. I know it's a house, but it's the same thing. The money increased by 1.8%. So I have to multiply by 1 point. Careful guys, it's not 1.18, that would be 18%. It's 0.18. That will increase it by 1.8%. But we're doing it for 3 years because she bought it in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 3 years. So I had to do this to the power of 3. And I get 120,000 times 1.018 to the power of 3, 126597. 126597. 126597. Again, that's approximately because I rounded it, but he wants 3 significant figures. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's the 3rd significant figure. Next number is a 5, so I round it up to 7. So it's 127,001. Okay. Question 12. Okay, we have a cumulative frequency table about, what are we talking about? It's about 80 workers traveling to work and the distance they have to travel. It's on the grid. Draw the cumulative frequency graph. Okay, I'll just zoom out for this, guys. Okay, so we have from 0 to 5, 17. So I need to go to 5 on the x-axis, which is the distance traveled, and 17 on the y-axis. So I'm going to go to 517 is here. Then I'm going to go 1032 because we have 1032. 1557. 57 is here. 2070 is here. 25 is 76. And 30 is 80. Like so. Okay, now we're going to join from 0. Mind, we have to start at 0, and we are going to join up here. So let me just check this looks right. Okay, I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to go through each of these. Now, guys, I always say when I do these that my pen makes this quite tricky, so try and draw it better than me, but okay, it looks a bit weird here, but generally that's okay. So I'm just checking that this is right there to be clear. So 5, 17, 10, 32, 15, 57, 20, 70, 25, 76. Okay, that's right. Then it says, I'm going to zoom back in. Then it says, you usually have to find an estimate for the median distance traveled, right? So there's 80, we half 80, and we go to 40. Half of 80 is 40, and we go across and then down, and this is Hopefully it accepts it. This is okay, that's 10 point. So if this is 15, 2 is 1, so that'd be 11, 11.5, which is in the range. Yes, so the median is 11.5. I'll write that here. Use your graph to find an estimate for the interquartile range. Okay, interquartile range, we need to find the two quartiles. Lower quartile, we do 80 divided by 4 is 20. So we go across and down. Let's just say here. It looks around like 6 or 6.5. And then the upper quartile will be 60 times 3/4 or 80 times 3/4, which is 60. We go down here like this. So it looks to me to be about, I don't know, let's say that's 6.5 and that's 16. So 16 minus 6.5 is 8.5, which is actually just, oh no, sorry, it's 9.5. So it's in range. Okay, so Q3 is 16 and Q1 is 6.5. Q3 equals 16, Q1 equals 6.5, and then the interquartile range, we subtract them. So it's 16 minus 6.5, which is 9.5. Okay, finally, for office B, the median distance workers travel from home is 15 kilometers and the interquartile range is 5. Use this information to compare the distances that workers. You need to write two comparisons. Okay, so these questions are quite similar. Sorry guys, these questions are quite common, where they want you to compare the they want you to compare the medians and the interquartile range. So I'm just going to write it with a text box here. So office A, the median is distance as 11.5, and office B, the median distance is 15. So the first comparison is I'm going to say office B, office. We're going to compare the distances. Okay, so the median distance is larger for office B, so that means this office this office is further away because it's 15. It's bigger than 11.5. You can write as 15 is bigger than 11.5, and then he wants you to comment on the interquartile range. So yeah, really you want to say, so on average the workers travel further to get to office B, but the interquartile range is smaller. So this guy's interquartile range is 5. This guy's interquartile range is 9.5. So the interquartile range is less for office B, and it doesn't want you to just say this is big. The median is bigger. The interquartile range is less. It wants you to say, it wants you to talk about the fact that it's less spread out. Therefore, there is less. There is less. There is less of a spread of distances for workers that travel to, or who travel to, office B. Okay, so generally office B workers live further away, but there's less of a spread, so they all kind of live close to each other or close to the same distance, whereas in office A Some of them might live way further, and some of them might live closer. That's basically what it wants. It's only 2 marks. Okay, question 13. Okay, Emily takes part in 2 races. The probability she wins the first race is 0.7. The probability she wins the second is 0.4. Right, complete this tree. Right, this is a nice question, guys, because we know these have to add up. These 2 have to add up to 1. These 2 have to add up to 1. And this is also 0.4 because this is 0.4 and this is 0.6. These are the same because it doesn't say it changes. It's just the second race is 0.4. Done. Then it says work out the probability that she wins exactly 2 of the races. Okay, if she's gonna win, work out the probability that she wins. No, sorry, that she wins exactly 1 of the 2 races. So 1 race. So the probability that she wins 1 would be she'd have to win and not win, or not win and win. There's the two options. So I'm going to do this times this, 0.7 times 0.6, plus this times this, 0.3 times 0.4. So it's this and this, or this and this, and I say I times, and or I add. That's the and or rules. Okay, I'll do this in my head, guys. That's 0.42. This is 0.12. Use your calculator if you're not comfortable with this, guys, but I know my times tables. 42 plus 12 is 0.54. Okay, that's the answer to part A. Sorry, part B. Then it says part C. Now, guys, I've copied this down because I find it's actually helpful. Note this isn't there for you, but you can go back to this one and use this if you want, of course. But I want to show you how to do this, and it involves adding to the tree. So now she's done her 2 races, but if she wins both she's going to now take part in a 3rd race. If she wins both the first races, the probability she wins the 3rd is 0.6. So now I'm going to add another branch to this. And this is going to be win, lose. If she wins exactly 1 of the first 2 races, the probability she wins the 3rd is 0.3. So this is going to be 0.3 for a win, lose, and this one would be let's do it down here, win and lose. Now note, I don't have a branch if she loses the 2, because if she loses the 2, there's no situation where she can win 2 of the 3 races, which is what we're trying to find. So I'm going to put this is 0.6, 0.4 because of this, and this is 0.3, then 0.7, and 0.3, and 0.7. Okay, so that's, I'm just adding to the tree. You don't have to you don't have to do this, but I find it, certainly to explain it, it helps. So now she's to win 2 of the 3 races. Well, how can she win 2 races? Well, she can win and lose, or she could win, lose and win, or she could lose, win and win. Now essentially I just need to multiply those probabilities and add them. So it's going to be win, lose plus win, lose, win plus lose, win, win. And it's 0.7 times 0.4 times 0.4, that's the green one, plus 0.7 times 0.6 times 0.3, that's the orange one, plus 0.3 times 0.4 times 0.3, which gives me, let's do that, 0.7 times 0.4 times 4 times 0.4 plus 0.7 times 0.6 times 0.3 plus 0.3 times 0.4 times 0.3, which is 0.274. 0.274. Now there is, guys, there is other ways to do this where you don't have to draw another tree and everything. If provided you get the right answer and you show what you did, it's perfectly fine. Okay, question 14. So we have a negative power. First thing I do, guys, with the negative power is flip this upside down. And this is technically called the reciprocal. So get the reciprocal of this and make it a positive power. Okay. Then you can do all these kind of separately, but 16 to the power of a half is 4. It's the square root of 16. You can actually do that on your calculator, guys. 9 to the power of a half is 3. You can also do that on your calculator. So I have to do 16 to the power of a half gives me 4. Y to the 10 to the power of a half, I just multiply. 10 times a half is 5. So it's y to the power of 5. The 9 to the power of a half becomes 3. So yes, because it's in a bracket, guys, everything has to be to the power of a half. And then x to the 4 to the power of a half, 4 times a half is 2. So that's it. It's just 4 y to the power of 5 over x squared. Sorry, over 3x squared. So it's 4 y to the 5 over 3x squared. Part A asks us to complete the table of values. So guys, the easiest way to do this is you could sub in the numbers, sub in the x's and get a y for each of these. But if you have this calculator, you can go into table and you can type in the function, which is 1 over x brackets x squared plus 4. Press enter again because we don't need a g of x, and then we're going to start at 0.5, so we have the 0.25. The step will be also 0.5. Sorry, the end will be 8 and the step will be 0.5. Now just be careful, guys, because this step here isn't actually common. It's not a common step here, so just make sure when you're reading the table that for 0.5 it's 8.5, for 1 it's 5, and then you skip this one and you go to 2, which is 4. So this is 8.5, this is 5, this is 4, and if we go down to 4, so you got to go all the way down to 4 here, we get 5, so this is 5, and then just check that 8 is 8.5, which it is. Okay, so that's part A. Then he says, on the grid, draw the graph of this. So to draw the graph, we essentially just need to put in these points. So 0.25, 16.25. So guys, let me zoom out. 0.25, 16.25. That's actually, well, it's halfway here. And then 16 point, well, that's actually 16.2. So 0.25 is somewhere there. I mean, you can only be so exact, so that'll do. 0.5 is 8.5. That's a bit easier. That's going to be 8.5 here. Then 1 was 5. 2 was 4. Then 4 was 5. That's just from here. 2 was 4. 4 was 5. And 8 was 8.5, which would be something like this. Okay, now you have to join the points like that. Don't draw past it, like don't draw up as far as here. You have to stop at this point. Now guys, please note I really struggle to draw with this thing, so I'm not, by the way, it shouldn't be a straight line, so don't draw a straight line there. But however bad I'm about to do this, you need to do it better. So let's go through all the points, curve there, and then up. Right, that's as good as I can do, but guys, again, like this shouldn't be happening up here. Maybe I would lose a mark for that. But the key thing is that you plot all the points and it goes through all the points. There. Okay, that's question 15. Question 16. A is inversely proportional to the square of r, right? So that means A is proportional, inversely proportional. So it's 1 over r squared. This is the proportional sign. If you want to skip that step, you can and go straight to k over r squared. So this is what proportional means. It means we can increase it as r increases, a is going to decrease, and in what proportion we don't know, but we know there's a k there which we have to find. Okay, so it says when a is 5, r is 0.3. So this is how we find k. When a is 5, r is 0.3 squared. So that means k is 5 times 0.3 squared, or k is equal to, let's go back here, 5 times 0.3 squared gives me 9 over 20, or 0.45. So this is 0.45. So the formula for a in terms of r is a equals k, which is 0.45 over r squared. Probably a nicer way to write that, as we saw k is 9 over 20, we could write it as 9 over 20 r squared. Generally, it's better not to have a decimal in a fraction, so that's the same thing as 0.45 over r squared. Then he says, find the value of a when r equals 0.5a. Okay, so we have a is equal to 9 over 20 r squared. Now he's saying r is actually 7.5a, so it's 7.5a squared. Okay, now I'm going to multiply across by this. So guys, this is a little bit tricky. I'm going to multiply across by this thing that's in the brackets. So it's a times 0.5a squared equals 9 over 20. So leave the 9 over 20 and multiply across by this. Okay, now this becomes a times 7.5 squared. 7.5 squared is 56.25. So that's 56.25 a squared, because I am squaring both of these. This equals 9 over 20. Then 56.25 a cubed equals 9 over 20, because a times a squared is a cubed. A cubed is then equal to 9 over 20 times 56.25. And then finally, a is equal to the cubed root, because if a cubed is this, a is the cubed root of 9 over 20 times 56.25. I'll do all that in one go. You could multiply that out if you wanted. Okay, cubed root is here. Cubed root fraction 9 over 20 times 56.25 gives me exactly a fifth, which kind of makes me think I'm right. Okay, a fifth, or 0.2. Okay, nice. That is part B. Right, question 17. Straight line passes through this point and this point. The straight line M is perpendicular to L and intersects the y-axis at this point. Find the coordinate of the point where M meets the x-axis. Right, this, guys, is tricky to say the least. Right, so you could maybe draw a little graph here just to give you an idea of what's happening. So this is a set of axes. This doesn't have to be perfectly accurate here, but guys, let's imagine 4 minus 1 is about here. 4 minus 1 there. This is 4 minus 1. And 6, 4 would then be 6, 4. Something like this. 6, 4. Now he says the straight line L passes through these 2 points. Great. M is perpendicular to L. So M is something like that, perpendicular. But we don't exactly know where it crosses. Well, sorry, we do know where it crosses the y-axis. It crosses it at 0, 8. So if I move that, I don't know, let's move it up here a bit, because this is, if this is 4, 8 would be something like that. Okay, so this line is going there, and it crosses the x. Let me move it down here a bit. It crosses the y-axis here at, let me move this. Oops. It crosses the y-axis at 0, 8. So this point here is 0, 8. This is L, and this is M. Okay, find the coordinates of the point where M intersects the x-axis. It's going to intersect the x-axis down here. So it's definitely going to be a positive number, probably well, definitely bigger than 4 down here somewhere. Okay. Now, how do we do it? Well, we're going to get the equation of this line. And to get the equation of the line, we're going to use the fact that it's perpendicular to this line. So this, if I continue this line, these are perpendicular there. So to find the gradient of M, we'll find the gradient of L. So I'm going to call it M, L, little m for gradient and L for line L. So the gradient of L is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 4, y1 is minus 1, so it's minus 1, be careful, this minus 1, over x2, 6 minus x1, 4. 4 plus 1 is 5, minus is plus, and 6 minus 4 is 2. So the gradient of L is 5 over 2. The gradient of M, so capital M, MM, the gradient of M, is therefore negative 2 over 5, because that is how we get the gradient of the perpendicular. We flip and change the sign. We get, it's the negative reciprocal. Okay, so the gradient, or the equation of M. The equation of M is y equals mx plus c. But the c, we know, it's 8. That's where it crosses the y-axis. So the equation of M is y equals minus 2 over 5x plus 8. Okay, nearly done. We want to find where it crosses the x-axis. It crosses, any line or any curve crosses x-axis when y equals 0. So I just need to set y equal to 0. So minus 2 over 5x plus 8 equals 0. I'm going to add this to the other side, so it's going to be 2 over 5x. I'm then going to multiply across by 5, 40 equals 2x, and finally x equals 40 divided by 2, which is 20. So the coordinates, and that kind of makes sense, guys, because like if we continue this line down there, it's not going to hit the x-axis for a while, and 20 makes sense, and it's the right answer. So the coordinates are 20 is the x, and then the y is 0. Okay, that's 17. Question 18. Okay, ABCD is a quadrilateral. we have this, fine. It says work out the perimeter of the quadrilateral, right? To get the perimeter, I have AB, that's fine. I just need to get AD, and I need to get DC. Once I get this and this, then I can get the perimeter just by adding them up. Let's call this X, and we'll call this Y. Okay, to get these sides, guys, I would like to use the sine rule or the cosine rule, but in order to do the sine rule or the cosine rule in this triangle, I need two sides, and I don't actually have, well, I don't have any side. All right, I need at least one side, and I don't have any side. So it kind of makes sense to me that I would use this. I could find this side using this triangle first. So that's actually what we'll do. Now let's call this, guys, let's call it Z. If this is X and this is Y, then this is Z. You can call it anything you want, guys. I'm just calling it Z, right? Also, something to note, this is obviously a circle. If this is 98, this is 82. That is because the opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral, which is a quadrilateral that touches each vertex touches the circle, the opposite angles add up to 180. So this guy is 82. Anyway, I don't need that yet because I'm just going to use the cosine rule to get Z. So Z squared equals 8 squared plus 7.5 squared minus 2 times 8 times 7.5 times cos 98. Guys, I'm just going to move it over here. You guys know you'll be writing down here. I just want to write it here so we can all see. So it's cos 98 degrees. And then Z is equal to, I'm just going to go straight to the square root of all this. So if Z is equal to this, if Z squared is equal to this, then Z is equal to the square root of this, which is 8 squared plus 7.5 squared minus 2 times 8 times 7.5 times cos of 98. Okay, so this is 11.7. It's 702, but let's just call it 11.7. Just because it's only because that's 0, guys. Otherwise, I would put at least 2 more. So 11.7. Okay, now that I know this side, this Z equals 11.7. Let's actually write 11.7 here. And I know this angle, I can actually find, well, I can find this angle too. So let's just do that. 180 minus 82 minus 35 equals, let's use our calculator, 180 minus 82 minus 35 is 63. So this is 63. I know that, guys, because these add up to 180 because it's a triangle. And now I can just use the sine rule to get both X and Y. Let's start with X. I can say X over sine 35, this over sine of this, equals Y over sine 63. Sorry, I shouldn't have chosen Y, I should have chosen this, because this is the one we know. 11.7 over sine 82. Therefore, X is equal to, I'm going to multiply across by sine 35. 11.7 sine 35 over sine 82. X is equal to this 11.7 times sine 35 over sine 82, which is 6.777. Let's go with that, 6.777. Right, that's X. Similarly, here I'll do Y over sine 63 equals 11.7 over sine 82. Y is equal to 11.7 multiplied by this, same thing guys, 63 over sine 82. Now I basically have the exact same thing except change this to 63. 63, this gives me 10.527. 10.527. Therefore, now I have x, this is x, and I have y, this is y. I can just add up the numbers. So the perimeter is just going to be 8 plus 7.5, because we're just adding up the outside. So it's the 8 plus 7.5 plus 10.527 plus x, which is 6.777. And that equals 8 plus 7.5 plus y, which is 10.527 plus 6.777, 32.797, 32.797 to 1 decimal place is 32.8. So this becomes all the way down here, 6 marks guys, 32.8. Okay, question 19. Solve the simultaneous equations. So we have y equals this and x squared plus y squared equals 18. Right, this is a simultaneous equation. One of them is not a quadratic. How do we do it? We sub the linear one into the non-linear one. So instead of y squared here, I'm going to put this. So I'm going to write x squared plus, instead of y, I'm putting 3 minus 2x, but it's squared. So that's my x squared plus y squared. X squared plus y squared equals 18. Then I'm going to multiply all this out. This multiplied out, guys, is, well, look, let's do it over here. 3 minus 2x times 3 minus 2x. This times this, this times this, this times this, this times this is plus 4x squared, which is 9 minus 12x plus 4x squared. Okay, so this is 9 minus 12x plus 4x squared, and it equals 18. Add the 4x squared and the 1x squared to give me 5x squared, minus 12x, the 9, then minus 18 would be minus 9 equals 0. Okay, factorize this. Number of ways to factorize, guys. I like to do it my way, which is 5x and x. Factors of 9, that will give me 12. So if I do 3 and 3, that will work, because if this is minus and this is plus, minus, I do cross multiply with that, minus 15x plus 3x is minus 12. So the factors are 5x plus 3 and x minus 3 equals 0. 5x plus 3 equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0. 5x equals negative 3, x equals negative 3 over 5. Or here, x equals 3. So now we have 2 x's, but for each x I need to find a y. So let's do x, let's do 3 first. When x is 3, y, change the color, y is equal to 3 minus 2x, or 2 times 3, which is 3 minus 6, which is negative 3. Easy. When x equals negative 3/5, y equals 3 minus 2 times negative 3/5. This, by the way, guys, is coming straight from this equation. I'm just subbing in my x, which is 3 plus 6/5. which is actually equal to 15 fifths plus, you can use your calculator guys, 15 fifths plus 6 fifths is 21 fifths. 21 fifths or 4.2. So and guys, in decimal this is negative 0.6. So my solutions are x equals, I'm just going to write them here, x equals negative 0.6 and y equals 4.2. That's 1. Oops. And guys, note they go together, so I always like draw a box around them like that. That's 1, and then x equals 3 and y equals minus 3 is another one. So they come in pairs. So that's 1 and that's the other. Okay. And is that correct? Yes, it is. Okay. Question 20. Mathematically similar wooden blocks are made in a workshop. There are small blocks and large blocks. The volume of each small block is 300 centimeters cubed. Given that the surface area of the small block to the surface area of the large block is in the ratio 25 to 36. Okay, right, this is interesting guys, because the way I always do these is I do scale factor, area factor, and volume factor. Equals, equals, equals. Now we can only calculate, well, we only know the area factor. Now the area factor is equal to, if it's in the ratio of 25 to 36, the area factor is 36 over 25. That's what you multiply by to get the area of the bigger block. So, well, that's the area factor. The area factor is 36 over 25. Now, once you have any of these, you can find out the rest. Because if the area factor is 36 over 25, the scale factor is the square root of 36 over 25. Because the area factor is the scale factor squared, which is quite nicely 6 over 5, and you'll often notice they use these nice numbers that have nice square roots. So this is 6 over 5. And then once you have the scale factor, you can find the volume factor by cubing the scale factor. This cubed is 6 cubed is 216, 5 cubed is 125. You can use your calculator for that. Okay, so this is the volume factor, 216 over 125. Now, what was the question? It says the volume of the small block is 300. Work out the volume of the large block. So, large volume of large block. The volume of the large block is just the volume of the small block, which is 300, times the volume factor, which is 216 over 125. And that will just give me the answer, guys. It's 300 times 216 over 125, 518.4, which is correct. 518.4, and it's centimeters cubed, which is here. 518.4 centimeters cubed. Okay. 21. The point A is the only stationary point on the curve with equation. This, K, is a constant. Given the coordinates of A are this, find the value of A. Right, stationary points, guys. The stationary point, let's write it here. Stationary point occurs when dy dx equals 0. That's a key point in differentiation and calculus. So we need to get the derivative. So y is kx squared plus 16 over x. Now I'm actually going to write that as 16x to the minus 1, because when we want to differentiate, we want to make that a negative power. Then differentiate. Dy dx is equal to 2kx, multiply by 2, subtract 1 from the power. Don't worry about the k is a constant, just doesn't do anything, it stays there. We multiply by k. Then multiply by minus 1, so it's minus 16, subtract 1 from the power, minus 2. Okay, this is the derivative. Okay, now what are we trying to find? It says the coordinates of, okay, so I need to find where I need to find the x coordinate when the derivative equals 0. Okay, so 2kx minus 16x to the minus 2. Now, by the way, guys, this is a very difficult differentiation question. So this is x to the minus 2. I'm going to write that as over x squared. I'm going to go backwards because it's easier when you're solving equations to do it this way. This equals 0. Now I'm going to add this to the other side. 2kx equals 16 over x squared. And then let's just move the x squared across here, so I will have 2kx cubed equals 16. Now I've removed my fraction, which is nice, and I'll divide by 2. Kx cubed equals 16 divided by 2 is 8. Okay, now I'm going to be able to find k because this whole thing happens when, well, it happens at the stationary point, and the stationary point says it is when x is 2/3. So I can sub 2/3 in for x. So k times 2/3 cubed equals 8. Cube this and I get 8 over 27. So this is 8 over 27. K equals 8. And I'll just bring this up here, guys. Let's draw a line down like this. Multiply by 27 and divide by 8. K is equal to 27. So I did this a bit quickly, guys. Just divide both sides by 8, multiply both sides by 27, and you get this. So k is 27. Fine. So if k is 27, what are we trying to find? Well, we're trying to find y. How do I find y? Well, it's here. So when x is 2/3, and now I know k, I can find y. Y is equal to k, 27, times 2/3 squared, because x is 2/3, and it's x squared, plus 16 over 2/3. Be very careful with this dividing by a fraction. Okay, let's simplify this. Actually, guys, you could just put this into your calculator at this point, but let's show the working. This is 27. It does say show your working clearly, but I think if you get to here, you can just put it into your calculator. So it's 27. 2/3 squared is 4/9. So that's 4 over 9. Plus, dividing by fractions, guys, we multiply, we flip and multiply. So it's actually 16 times 2/3. Okay, 27 divided by 9 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 16 times 3 over 2, divided by 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24, which is equal to 36. So that is it, guys. That's the answer. Therefore, A equals 36. Okay, guys, I think that's one of the hardest calculus questions I've seen. They don't get much harder than that, to be honest, so don't worry if you can do it. The A is 36. Okay, question 22, only 2 questions left. So we have the curve S has this equation, the curve T has this equation. By writing g of x in this form, describe the transformation that maps C onto T. Right, first let's write g of x in that form. So g of x is 2x squared minus 12x plus 13. To write it in this form, guys, let me show you a little hack. And you can do this because if you look at the mark scheme, there's no mark for showing any working of writing when writing it in this form, but I'll show you both ways, but I want to show you this kind of hack that I call it. So here I go to polynomial degree 2 and I write in my equation 2, -12 and 13, and I get an x1 and x2, and then the minimum is 3 minus 5. So the min is at 3 minus 5. Therefore, I can write this as 2. This always stays the same. The a is always going to be this 2. Then I have x minus 3. It's always minus this number here. Now, if this number was a negative, then it's minus a negative and it becomes plus, but it's always minus this squared, and then plus this one. And if it's minus, you just put the minus. So this is this, basically, this one is the same sign, this one is the opposite sign. So now I have g of x in this form. Okay, then I need to describe the transformation, because x squared is becoming, x squared is turning into this. So how do I turn x squared into that? Well, first you multiply by 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch it vertical. I'm going to call it a vertical stretch scale factor 2, and that gives me 2x squared. I'll write this out properly in a second, but I just want you to see it. So first we multiply by 2, then we shift it to the right. I'm going to call it a horizontal translation of 3, 0, that's the vector. That gives me my 2 times x minus 3 squared, because when you shift it to the right or translate it to the right, you get f of x minus 3. I know that's confusing. So this, when I shift it to the right, the x turns into x minus 3. And then finally, vertical translation of 0 minus 5, because I am, hang on, let me just draw this one again. Because I am moving it down 5, that then just becomes 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 5. So when he says describe fully the series of transformations, and it has to be in order. The order is this. Well, there's actually 2 correct orders. You can, provided you do the 2 first and then the subtract 5. That's the important bit. But I'm actually going to do the translations together. So I'm going to say a vertical stretch by scale factor 2. That's this multiplying by 2. Then followed by a translation by vector. Now I'm going to do both of these in the one go. Because it's a translation, I can do this. I'm going to move it to the right 3, and I'm going to move it down 5. So I write it like this. That'll move it to the right 3 and down 5, and that's it. That is, yeah, that's the answer. Okay, last question. Pippa has a box containing n pens. Okay, guys, this is the last question of the paper. I think it's a tree diagram question. It's going to be hard, so just warn you. So Pippa has a box containing n pens. There are black pens and red pens in the box. The number of black pens is 3 more than the number of red pens. Right, we'll start with that. We'll say B is the number of black pens. Okay, let's say black pens is B. Red pens is therefore B plus, no, sorry, that's not correct. It says the number of black pens is 3 more than the number of red pens. So that means black B is equal to the number of red pens plus 3. So number of red pens, add 3 gives me the number of black pens because there's more black pens, fine. But if we want to write number of red pens in terms of B, and I think we want to write everything in terms of either B or red, I'm going to go with B. We're going to say red is B minus 3. We just subtract 3 from both sides. So the number of red pens is B minus 3. And then finally the total number of pens, it's N, but let's write it in terms of B. It's B plus B minus 3. It's this plus this, because it's just black and red. So B plus B is 2B, and we've got our minus 3. Okay, so that's our black pens, red pens, and total. Now we're going to just draw a tree diagram. Okay, so she's going to pick, Pippa is going to pick a black or a red pen. And then she's going to pick another black or red, and then another black or red. Okay, the probability she gets a black pen, well, in her first go, well, there's B, I should call this B for black, and R for red, black, red. Okay, I'll just change the color here. So black, there's B black pens out of a total of 2B minus 3. There is B minus 3 red pens out of a total of 2B minus 3. So that's black out of total and red out of total. And if you add these two together, you will get 1, because 2B minus 3 over 2B minus 3 equals 1. Fine. And now we have this situation where she's not replacing the pen, because she's taking 2 pens. So she's not replacing the pen. So, excuse me, what's left is, if she takes a black pen, there's now only B minus 1 black pens left, and in total there's 2B minus 4, because we lose 1 from the total as well. Similarly, well, the red pens, there's still going to be B minus 3 here, because we haven't, this is the case where we've taken a black pen, so there's still B minus 3 red pens, but the total is now 2B minus 4, because of this we've already taken a pen. Okay, next one, if we take a red, there's going to be still B black pens. We've taken 1, so it's 2B minus 4. And here, B minus 4 over 2B minus 4. So that's the tree done. That's one, arguably the difficult part. As I said, this is a very hard question, guys, because I think we're going to have a quadratic in a second. Anyway, it says the probability that she will take a black pen, so this will be a black pen, followed by a red pen, which is this, is 9 over 35. Find the possible values of N, show clear algebraic working, right? So guys, I'm going to find the possible values of B and then sub this in here, because this is equal to N. N is the total, N pens, and this is the total. So I'm going to find the values of B and then sub them in there. So what it's saying is the probability of this and this, so this times this, has to equal 9 over 35. So let's write that down. B over 2B minus 3 times B minus 3 over 2B minus 4 has to equal 9 over 35. 9 over 35. Okay, now we have, well, not a very nice quadratic to solve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply across. So guys, think of this as 2 brackets. This is like this times this. I'm going to multiply this by 35. So I'm going to have 35b, so 35 times the numerator here, b times b minus 3 equals 9 times 2b minus 3 times 2b minus 4. So I'm doing 9 times this. Okay. Then I'm going to have to multiply everything out. So I'm going to have 35b squared minus 3 times this is 105b, use your calculator if you need to, equals 9 times. Now guys, I'm going to do this, I'm actually going to do it separately up here guys, 2b minus 3 times 2b minus 4. So I'll have 2b times 2b is 4b squared, 2b times minus 4 is minus 8b, minus 3 times 2b is minus 6b, and minus 3 times minus 4 is plus 12, which gives me 4b squared minus 14b plus 12. Okay, I'm going to put that here. 4b squared minus 14b plus 12, and I'm going to multiply out the 9. 105b equals 36b squared. 9 times negative 14. Okay, I'm going to use my calculator, guys. Oh, look, there it is. 9 times 14, 126. So that's minus 126b. And 9 times 12, I do know that, is 108. Okay, at least I have a 36b squared, and a minus 35b squared is going to give me 1b squared, so at least I like that, right? So I'm going to subtract 35b squared, giving me 1b squared. I'm going to then add 105b here to give me, that will give me, what will that give me? 21. So minus 21b plus 108 equals 0. So just make sure you're clear on what I did there, guys. I subtracted 35b squared here, and I added the 105 here to give me a nice, well, nicer quadratic. And actually, guys, this is nicer because this factorizes. The factors of 108 are 9 and 12, and 9 and 12 multiply to give me 108 and add to give me 21. So this is actually quite nice. It's b minus 12 times b minus 9 equals 0. Therefore, I'm going to move down here, guys. I'm going to therefore say b minus 12 equals 0, or b minus 9 equals 0. b equals 12, or b equals 9. Now remember, guys, from up here, we said n, which is the total, n pens, is 2b minus 3. So over here, I'm going to write n equals 2b minus 3. So the possible values of n are here, n equals 2 times 12 minus 3, which is 24 minus 3, which is 21. And here, n equals 2 times 9 minus 3, which is 18 minus 3, which is 15. And that gives me two possible values of n, 21 and 15. So I'm actually just going to write here 21 comma 15. Okay, I did warn you guys, that's a difficult question. Last question on the paper, but there you go, it's worth 5 marks. Okay, at least if you can get the tree diagram drawn, you'll get a number of marks. Okay, that's it, guys. Well done if you got most of those questions right. If not, keep practicing, and I'll see you for the next paper.